Hi, I'm here today with Myles Laphen. And we're going to be laughing a little bit, hopefully. We're filming an episode of The Other Side of the Chair, where we basically interview hairdressers and ask what it's all about and how they got into the industry. So, how did that happen for you?
How I got into the industry. I suppose it would be fabulous if I came up with some long-winded story about how I was destined to do this kind of thing. But in reality, the reason I got into it was I moved out here as a young person, British Columbia,
Yeah.
and I needed a job. So the way I did was I went around and I found a job as an assistant. I had trained to be a school teacher
Oh,
and
really?
knew that after 15 minutes of being on a school practicum that I would be a hardcore alcoholic by the time I was 35 had I continued on that path.
Oh.
So when I got into hairdressing, it sort of fit. It was
Made you relax?
yeah, it was a natural thing. It got me over my nervousness, my shyness, my uncomfortableness with people, women in particular,
Yeah.
and it really blossomed for me. I mean, in retrospect, I don't think anything else would have fit me as well as this. It's allowed me a lot of freedoms and some really great things in my life, actually.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, is there anything you want to let people know about the industry that most people don't know?
Well, it's not what you think it is when you first get into it. I mean, when I first got into it, I thought it was going to be a series of incredibly beautiful women with incredibly beautiful hair that I could just kind of, fluff up and make look great. But it isn't about that. It's about being a technician, about being a good cutter, about being a psychologist. But there's so many facets that go into the industry that it isn't just about coming to work and making people pretty. There's way more to it than that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that. They
Yeah.
think all we do is wave scissors over our head and talk.
And talk, yeah. That's why we lose a lot of young hairdressers to it, because they get into it for one reason and look around and go, oh God, this isn't what I like, and they're gone. And
Yeah.
that's okay too.
Yeah, it's like going from, I remember doing lots of roller sets in hair school and then getting out of hair school and still having to do them. But most of those old ladies have passed away now, so it's more, haven't had to do one for quite a while.
It's a different industry now. I mean, the
Yeah.
young kids are coming out of school can't do some of the basic things that we were taught.
No.
Highlighting. The young kids that are coming out of school now don't know how to do any kind of form of highlighting.
Oh, is
So,
that right?
well, that's maybe an overstatement,
Yeah.
but the young ones really have a hard time, and it's not really fashionable to do 1,000 heads of highlights on one head of hair these days. But
No,
it'll
it's
come back. There's always going to be a Heather Locklear out there.
I know the stripy look has kind of gone passe, right? But you still see it. So these days you're probably doing more like just like kind of natural looks more.
Natural. I mean, the ombre was really big for a season or two, but that's sort of waning now. We're moving more towards the contrasting of the black and the blonde, or whatever the contrast were, to something a little closer in color, something that melds into like a brown going into a copper, those kinds of things, as opposed to real extreme colors.
So more natural,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, that's the way I've always done hair, but people have always wanted to do something quite kind of crazy. So on another note, tell us about maybe your worst nightmare client. You don't have to mention any names.
Well,
But
there's a couple. I mean, the worst, for me, the worst nightmare client is a man. A
okay.
fussy man. There is nothing in the entire world, as far as I'm concerned, as bad as that. A man with, completely bald on the head, on the top, with 12 hairs around the back, who's obsessing over the fact that something's not the way he thinks it should be. I could just bludgeon them, quite honestly.
Yeah.
And then the other flip side of it is a woman who comes in who has all kinds of issue that has nothing to do with her hair. And she sits in your chair and you realize that she's just unhappy, she's just miserable, and no matter what I do, and because I'm quite accommodating, I'll bend over backwards in order to make this person happy before they leave. But that for me is somebody who there's nothing I can do, I just give up.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of like, I think I kicked a woman out of my chair once because she said I wasn't pulling hard enough on the brush.
Well, right, yeah, all that kind of foolishness, yeah.
And I was like, well, I'm done. And she goes, what do you mean you're done? And I go, well, I'm done. And so she left. But she wasn't very happy. She was a diplomat's wife from Washington.
Oh yeah, well, I've certainly had a couple of those too, let me tell you. I've
Yeah.
certainly had a couple.
They're pretty funny. The
I've taken the cape off one lady, blonde-haired wench that I'm not going to mention her name, but I literally took the cape off and said, well, you know what? You're going to have to find someone else to do your hair because it's not me, baby. And I
Yeah.
just walked out because she was
Yeah.
a miserable.
I want to know what a hairdresser's worst customer has been like.
Oh, that's easy. me, for instance, I've had a customer that asked me to pull so hard on her hair that it hurt her, and I did her hair once, and then I did it again, and she said you still didn't pull hard enough, so I fired her. I told her to get out of the salon.
Ah!
That's just we fire clients too, just like.
Stop. You got it upside down.
Oh.
Oh. So we've got none of it.
No, we got it, but the sound will be much better now.